I'm going to start out with a video that I saw just over 10 minutes ago. A video that I didn't even expect one of my favorite movie reviewers on YouTube, a person who I respect in terms of his opinion, whether I agree with it or not. I think he has grown to be probably one of the best, if not the best, movie reviewer on the entire platform. And that's Jeremy Jahns. I think Jeremy Jahns, from where he started as Movie Man 12, which I was a little bit on the fence, to how he has grown over the last 5 to 6 years, not just as a movie reviewer, but someone who states very good opinions and brings up very good points. And you may not agree with the person's reviews, like any other movie reviewer or critic, but I can respect a person for at least being honest and telling it like it is, and not being afraid to not be politically correct when it comes to certain movie reviews or a topic. And even calling out some of the stuff that has been happening with the properties of a lot of movies, as well as the events that he chooses to cover on a daily basis that are not movie events, that are actually interesting subjects that he has done. I got to give my respects to him, my hats off to him, and I will continue to give him the respect until he's no longer on YouTube. Let's hope that does not happen. I think out of all of the people who have came to review, he's the only one that haven't changed his platform, and I've continued to get better. Now, with that being said, he did bring up an interesting conversation regarding the head of Disney, George Lucas, a book that came out, which I didn't even know it came out, and how it seems to connect with everything that is going on with Star Wars in the last year and a half. According to what Jeremy Jahns said, and something I actually looked up myself to confirm what he has said, that the CEO of Disney actually admitted that they had a blueprint that George Lucas had gotten. George Lucas wanted him to follow this blueprint upon being sold billions of dollars worth of money to contain the rights to the Star Wars series, and thus didn't even bother going by. Once he got George Lucas' name on the dotted line, once he have attained the properties, they completely scrapped the whole thing and did their own thing. This did not satisfy George Lucas at all. In fact, there was some cracks in the relationship between Lucas and Disney because, for one, and this is something that is no secret, he was not happy of what was going on with the Disney series. He was not happy with Force Awakens. He was very outspoken that what he felt, even though it came out pretty much cringeworthy and bizarre when he said that he sold to white slavers, which was kind of way off the bat. He did later on apologize and acknowledge the good work, but we all saw that he did not want nothing to do with Disney Star Wars whatsoever. Force Awakens came out. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a big disappointment. I had fun with that film. I am not going to look back and say this film was a piece of trash because many people feel that it's the same thing of A New Hope. I came in here almost with minimum expectations. I wanted to give this film a chance, and I got a chance with this film. Yes, I was not taken much by surprise of the Han Solo's death because I already had heard the history that he wanted to kill off the character to begin with. So this is probably the best suiting thing to happen. I think it also set up a situation where we now know that little Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, may not be redeemable. And that was fine. I enjoy the character Rey. I will acknowledge that there were some things they could have done right with the character. I think she is overpowered in many ways, which pretty much eliminate that training and learning from experience that Luke has gotten. But overall, I thought the new characters, for the most part, has done well. Then you had The Last Jedi. And I'm skipping the stories for one reason. I'm sticking by the trilogy lineup from the original story concept than the stories. I will bring it up. I promise you. But I wanted to actually get to the Last Jedi because this is where the kinks of the cracks have finally started to show, and how Rian Johnson really didn't do a great job in terms of peer relations. I mentioned this before. Through just basically not respecting these characters. And this is where things started to show. They did not respect the characters. The criticism was there, well, at least with the fans, because let's be honest, if you look at the criticism from the fans to the criticism of the critics, the critic was 10 times more positive than the fans were. The fans did not like the way the route was going. I felt that there were some bold moves that was taken. I didn't think it was terrible. Yes, I will do a review of my actual true feelings, but I thought that they did not respect some of the old characters. In fact, they seemed to go out of the way to wipe the slate clean. And anytime when you have a director saying they are setting up for a trilogy, that's the problem, because they're trying to set up over a film that they should have no business trying to set up in. Rian Johnson did not do these films any favors, but the worst crime in all this was the fact that we had a situation where the directors, even J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, was pretty much dismissing the fans and did something that even politicians should have no business doing. How you have some activists doing this and have no business doing, trying to be divisive and pointing fingers as to say, hey, you don't like this film, you must be this, you must be that, you must hate this for this and that reason. Instead of actually having a nice, respectful dialogue, communicating with the fans, say, okay, well, what is it that you didn't like about this? And you know what, take into account that what they may say may be true. Especially if there are more than one third of the fans saying it. If you constantly hear the repeats of the complaints, then 99.9% of the time, that's the issue that they're right about. When your main star, Mark Hamill, is telling you and is trying to warn you about how they're going to react towards how you're betraying this star, the man, Luke Skywalker, someone who was waiting on the big screen for years, and you dismissed him and saying you sometimes you can't go, the fans, do you know what? Maybe, just maybe, you're not the right man for the job. Especially from someone who had played the character already 3 times. And you also have The Rise of Skywalker, a film that is pretty much damage control. Now, don't get me wrong, I am still looking forward for this movie. I've seen 2 trailers. I'm waiting for the last trailer, which I've heard is going to be released very, very soon. But I'd be lying to you. Absolutely lying to you if I felt this film has everybody waiting to buy tickets in advance. It's not possible. There's a lot of problems with how they have dealt with this. And then you last but not least, you have the theme parks. Expensive theme parks from both Orlando and California. And how big of a bomb that was. And they can say all the stuff they want about how they was doing long term and how they was being able to have great hosts for the future. If that was the case, the lady who was in charge of that operation, of the theme park operation, would not have stepped down. Some say she was fired. It doesn't really matter. She's no longer there. If everything is looking up and up, she would not have stepped down. All this resonates to one thing and one thing only. It resonates to simple. They did not have a viable plan. These films were warehoused in just to make a quick buck without any consideration as to the actual property they have. It has gotten so bad that you have them going and asking Fergie from Marvel Comics fame, a guy who's been successful, the only true guy who's been successful of universe building. You ask him to come in and make a Star Wars film. That's not a good sign. And I know a lot of people who are Star Wars fans are excited about this. I myself am interested to see how he would take it forward, at least with the one film. But this also tells me a tale of how much they have completely messed up this franchise. And this is from a person who was having complete faith in Disney. Complete faith that they were going to take this franchise to a level we have never seen before, and that simply have not happened. Too many mistakes have been made, and right now they're in panic mode. They don't know how good Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is going to be in the box office. And after the debacle that was Solo, to no fault of the actors and even the directors, this was clearly a marketing failure and pretty much the behind the scenes mess that was going on, not to mention the constant back and forth between fans, directors, and producers. But this all translated to a lot of Star Wars fans being teed and a lot of Star Wars fans not putting up their hard-earned money for a product they simply don't believe in. And I, for myself, am very disappointed in how Disney have handled it. Especially when I wanted them to succeed, and they have dropped the ball completely. Boy, what a mistake this was. Now, I'm not making this whole completely a Star Wars show, because I do have other stories I want to talk about. But I have to deal with this because the last few days has been nothing but Star Wars. From the news that was happening in the theme parks, to Kathleen Kennedy, saying she won't go a different direction, to someone from Marvel taking, having a film be made in this situation. We don't know what's going on. Now, I will say this: if this is completely true, and he's doing one film, that's great. He has done a tremendous job. Fergie have done a tremendous job with Marvel. I wish they would have gotten more advice on him how to run the Lucasfilms. He's done a tremendous job. Even some of the stuff he has failed, it is nothing to compare to a success. His success outweighs some of the failures or shortcomings, if you want to call it that. He's perfect to get this thing back together. But however, we also got to keep in mind, it only says a film. He's not doing a project. He's not taking over Lucasfilms. He's not doing that. And I don't expect him to. He's in charge of Marvel. He's dealing with Marvel. He's already getting things done with the Phase 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Does it really matter? Next phase of Marvel shows. He's really not going to have time to juggle both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilms. It's not going to happen. Kathleen Kennedy is still going to be in charge of that. How much power she will have still remain to be seen with me. She has been quiet, and that's for good reasons, because of the debacle that was happening between Last Jedi and Solo, which, by the way, single-handedly killed the storyline in terms of movies concerned. I know they're going to continue it pretty much in the Disney Plus. I consider this to be interesting concept, how he's going to handle it. But I wouldn't be jumping up and down in victory, because to me, Disney have shown they have been defeated. You don't make a move like this unless you think that the whole entire project that you have done in the last 7 years has been a failure. A complete failure. And that's not including The Rise of Skywalker. But the way things are right now, you gotta be, Disney's worried. They are definitely in panic mode. And the sad part about it, this didn't need to happen. Have they actually done the structure? Now, let me get back to George Lucas for 1 minute here. George Lucas felt betrayed because he thought that they was going to go by his script. Look, I don't know how it was going to be. I know a couple people have mentioned it was going to be going further into midichlorians. I think that's something he has been desperately trying to explain. I have no problem if they would have gone to the element of the Force, what is the true nature of the Force, etc. It would have probably been interesting. I don't know if people want to hear the scientific reason of the Force. If you want to call it the scientific reason, George Lucas can feel that way if they said we're going to keep things. I've seen the Kathleen Kennedy situation. I think it's a joke because he says she did the polar opposite, and to me, she really had no true direction on how to move forward with this series. She really didn't. And I agree that she is more of a producer who is looking at the money side than at the actual passion and love for Star Wars. I have no problem with her thinking that way because most producers does, by the way. She's not the only one. But if you're only going to care about the money side of it, you should hire someone who's going to care about having extreme care and making sure the Star Wars are as in best possible shape as possible. She made way too many mistakes down the road, and it came back to finally bite this franchise in the ass. Now, I'm not like one of these Clydes who was demanding for her to be fired. But I think after the 3-year extension she has gotten, I think it was very clear that she got a memo saying keep off the radar, stay away from politics, and just get these films in order. And hopefully, with the Mandalorian and the new Kenobi series that's coming on Disney Plus, she can redeem herself with the fans, or maybe not. Maybe it's too late. I don't know. But she did lie about George Lucas about staying true to the Star Wars characters. Ain't nothing that they did to stay true to the characters. Believe me, it ain't there. I can see why he is upset. However, I gotta quote this from the reporter who basically threw this out in his face. You sold the rights to Disney. You sold it. You didn't have to sell it. You sold it. Now, many people said that he sold it because he got mad at the fans. That's a legitimate point. I'm not going to sit there and argue that many fans were not happy with the way the prequel was made. But you still sold the rights. You gave Disney that key. And like any rights that they have, Disney have just as much rights to do whatever they want with that franchise now. Whether you like it or not. That's just basically the whole thing. Believe me, I'd be mad too if I find out they were butchering a characters that I spend years developing. That put food on my family table. Who basically has been a part of me from day one, only to see it being torn down by corporate management. However, if I sold it, and believe me, he got a lot of money for it. It's not like he got chump change. He got billions of dollars for this franchise. Then there's really nothing else you can do. Now obviously it's been so bad that they actually finally took some advice that George Lucas have. We'll see how that turns out in the Rise of Skywalker, because his fingerprints are on that film. It's not just J.J. Abrams. But a lot of this could have been avoided. Have they just basically got an actual script and a blueprint? It didn't have to be the exact same blueprint, but a blueprint that says, okay, this is what we're going to do here. This is the middle. This is how we're going to end it. And then go forward from there. They didn't do that. They were too focused of trying to make a movie that will make a quick buck, which I agree with Jeremy Jahns on that situation. I agree that from many people, that they was trying to do a warehouse style, assembly style production. Star Wars never had, and I think it's been proven never will work as an assembly line film. Too much Star Wars is not a good thing, at all. I give George Lucas. I said this. I give George Lucas many credit. He knew how to stretch the films out, where it's not overwhelmed. Okay, will be 3 more years. Now I can flesh out the story. I can make any corrections. I can do, if I wanted to change the character's name or anything else, I can do that. There's no rushing here. Now you may not like how the end result, but at least you can say he had a structure. Star Wars don't have that. And that's the main problem. But I can't really feel too sorry for George because he did sold it. He did sold it. Yeah, they lied to him. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a terrible move. But again, what are you gonna do? If you didn't put on the contract that says you have to use my script for the first 3 films, otherwise the sale is null and void, then guess what? They're gonna do whatever the hell they want. And rightfully so. Now, for what I understand, they may not have the rights to everything. For what I said, it's probably the movie properties. The toy line may be a little different. Some of the characters may not be all theirs. I seriously doubt that's the case. You're not going to spend billions of dollars and not have the rights to all the characters. But that's beside the point. The point is that there is it pretty much shows the mindset of how corporate management look at things versus how filmmakers look at things. It also disconnects what property they actually has. Bottom line is a lot of things in management, more so than anything else, because management, it does start with management. How much they completely dropped the ball. From how they was handling the carnivals and the tickets there, to how they have responded to some of the fans and the criticism of the fans, which, by the way, is disgusting within itself, to the ridiculous statements and trying to make this into a social issue when it really wasn't. And all those just turn off a lot of fans who love Star Wars but refuse to endorse or support a property like this due to the following reasons that has been echoed throughout pretty much the internet for the past 2 years. There are people who seem to make a living just talking bad about Star Wars alone, and basically it's sad and it's sickening, but what can you do? I can't sit there and say they're totally wrong. You know, and Kevin Feige is not going to solve your problems. I'm happy he's doing a Star Wars movie, but it's just a Star Wars movie. He's not taking over the full project. And you gotta wonder, what is the end game of this? What are they really planning to do? They got $1 billion franchise. They're not going to end the Star Wars legacy. Yes, a Skywalker saga is going to end, but it's not going to end the whole entire legacy. But many people are just like, what's the next step? Are you actually going to go forward and actually tell original content, original stories? Are you going to go back to the Old Republic, something that has been rumored but I haven't heard too much about? How the Jedis came to be? Who were the first Jedi Knights? Are you going to go forward and talk about the Jedis doing the end of their cycle and who these new Knights and Warriors are? What is the end game? Because I don't see it. Trust me when I say that you had a lot of things going for it. You had a lot of properties, but you choose to end that property by saying that the extended universe no longer accounts, and you're going to go start from square one. Okay, but what was the payoff? Rogue One was lucky. I didn't think Rogue One was that great, but it was good enough. Solo, again, was okay, but I didn't see where this was leading. I really think they need to think about the strategy. I really do think they need to think about where Star Wars comes from here. Now, some people say they just may do everything streaming. It wouldn't bother me if they do that. But you also got to take in consideration that how many people are going to buy a stream? Streaming is not the same as television or cable. You're at the mercy of the subscription. So how many people you really expect them to buy the screen? Not everybody's Star Wars fans, you know. You may get it for Disney shows, Pixar shows, National Geographic, Marvel, Star Wars. I don't know. We'll see. I really think they need to have a sit down and talk, have a meeting with everybody involved with the Star Wars franchise, and come up with a legitimate game plan, and not just make things off on the whim. They have to be something going on. And Kathleen Kennedy, who, again, I have to say, credit-wise, have been keeping quiet with the rumors. The only person who's really talking right now, and I don't know why he's talking, is Rian Johnson. I think Johnson needs to just step aside a bit. I know he got a movie out. It's gotten high praises. Focus on that. Focus on that. Because if he still thinks there's going to make a trilogy of his movies, that is dead on arrival. After the negativity that the fans got, and trust me, they have taken strong consideration, that film is dead on arrival. Let it go. Because there is no way you can tell me that any Star Wars fan is going to go and see a Rian Johnson Star Wars. This is not happening. Just not happening. I'd like to hear what you have to say on this situation. Again, when I heard the news about Fergie being in, people was happy, and I just sit there and said it doesn't solve anything. Because he is only doing one film, unless I'm correct. He's only doing one film. He's not taking over Lucasfilms. He's not. So what's the game plan after he finishes making his film? Is there a game plan? I hope so. Tell you one thing though, makes me wonder how Sony is thinking right now, because last time I checked, Sony said that Fergie didn't have the time to do Spider-Man. Yet he seems to found room in his schedule to do a Star Wars film. I just find that kind of funny. I really do. But not everything is all rosy in Marvel. Like I said, there is a reason why I want to go to Marvel real quick. According to a lot of resources, and I'm going to be very straightforward, because some of the stories I hear, it's ridiculous. I don't buy it. And I'm not going to buy it unless there's some actual evidence that says otherwise. But the story that Captain Marvel may have lost favor in Disney's eyes and in Marvel's eyes, they may have canceled the sequel, even though there was never even talk of a sequel, which was actually interesting when they was making announcements that Captain Marvel 2 was not announced, and Captain Marvel was a huge success. Yes, there were the political stuff that was going on with the actress and her views. I thought that was not a very good move, not because I don't think her views matter, but because I feel that you're doing it at the wrong place at the wrong time. You're there to promote a freaking film. Could you please put the politics aside and promote a film? I don't need to hear the politics at that moment. And strange enough, I was less mad than the actors who were sitting right beside her. You know, body language speaks 1,000 words, and I can tell you right now, a lot of them was not happy with what she was doing. She was not gaining any kind of fanfare whatsoever. It was actually cringeworthy the way she was actually making them uncomfortable. To the point where some of them actually, I think, spoke back out of spite or just trying to make it a funny banter, but it was not comfortable. And I think somebody got into her head and said, yeah, you need to slow that down. To her credit, she has. But it did not help her reputation. And for a film, yeah, it made billions of dollars, but I got news for you. The reviews from both even the critics and the fans was not that great. And boy, did it show on the DVD sales. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that Captain Marvel 2 is not on their roster if that is the case. But it doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's canceled. Keep in mind, they got a packed lineup as it is from both their Disney Plus and the movie that's coming out in the next 2 years. So much that even Black Panther 2 wasn't even announced at one point. I've heard they announced it on D23, but it wasn't announced as in the original con. I don't know where they was doing it, but I've seen it. I've seen the list. I said, no Black Panther 2. I'm kind of surprised. Black Panther 2 is only one of the best projects that Marvel had put out. I don't think it's the greatest one, but it was a damn good film. A film that was nominated for Best Picture, Whether I feel that it deserves it or not, it's not the case. It was nominated, made a lot of money, really set the standards for an all-African cast, in my opinion. You know, had an engaging story, and yet I was kind of surprised. I said, "Hey, Black Panther's not in this. Blade is, but Black Panther's not in it." But from what I understand, they actually have Black Panther on the schedule. I believe 2022 or 2021. You guys can correct me if you know the scheduling for that. So they did actually eventually announce it, but no Captain Marvel. Now, it also said that there is no director, no screenwriter. It has nothing. Now, from what I understand, that she is still gonna the actress who plays Captain Marvel is still gonna be involved in the cinematic universe in some capacity, but in terms of her getting a movie, it may not actually exist. Now, I'm a little bit on the fence about that. I have to say I gotta wait and see. I don't want to say that that's actually the true case scenario. I don't want to sit here and say that, hey, this is what's going down. I don't know. No, I don't like reporting things on rumors. I seriously doubt that is the case. I think that what's going to happen is they're going to wait another year before announcing it. I think eventually it will be on their radar. I think they're going to give all these films a chance. But if it doesn't be announced by next year, then yes, I can start to say I'm a little bit concerned. Especially after they've already planned this, supposedly that Captain Marvel was supposed to be the next big thing. However, I think what also happened is I didn't think they expect to have this negative reception of this character. Another thing that is brought up, which I'm not buying, is the fact that she was supposed to be the star, and Spider-Man, at one point, was going to be a sidekick. And the way it was written was not in a good way. It was supposed to be this comedic style sidekick, like a person who basically is going to take the brunt of the jokes, while Captain Marvel will be the straight hero in this case. I ain't buying that for 1 minute. I'm not buying that, and I refuse to believe that. For the simple fact is that Spider-Man had been well established as a legitimate hero. You're not going to take Spider-Man, which people love and adore, and turn him into some sidekick comedy. That's not going to happen. And I'm not buying that's going to happen. I seriously doubt Kevin Feige was going to let that go down. That is the most ridiculous comedy I've ever heard of. First of all, he already had a partner. Spider-Man already had a character that he can look up to and had good comic relief that played off each other, and it kind of be unexpected considering the history that these two have in the comic books. That's Tony Stark's. I thought that one of the best things they have done was connect him with Tony Stark's. Their relationship is complex. They respect each other, but there are some things that they don't get along with. It's one of the reasons why I love Civil War so much, because you have two characters who want to do good but have different philosophies of how to do it. And both have legitimate arguments. I like this. I like the way they have interacted with each other, and continue to like the way they interact with each other, and how their decision making affect them both. The same thing with Spider-Man and Tony Stark's Iron Man. I think those two were great. So when you saw Homecoming, you can see the effects of his passing. Spoiler if you didn't see the Endgame. You can see that through Spider-Man in his actions. Now, granted, his being there may have affected the entire plans of the Marvel Universe, but let's be realistic. When he was there, it affected their plans anyway. So I'm not saying that they can't refix that. But the fact I'm hearing that they was going to make Captain Marvel be this uppity, and Spider-Man being this second-class citizen to the whole entire series is ludicrous. He's one of the most beloved, if not the beloved character in the entire Marvel lineup. You're not going to make him into a mockery. It doesn't work. That can kill a franchise. especially from a character who fans are not that warm up to begin with. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is look too far of Joe Schumacher's Batman series. How that worked out for that franchise. It nearly killed the entire Batman franchise altogether. They didn't have a jet movie until Christopher Nolan came along. You think they're going to do that after they finally got a Spider-Man character right and told some very interesting and fun stories? You think they're going to actually do that? I don't think they're going to do that. I don't even think Sony would let them do that. Now, do I think she would have played an important part of the new phase going forward? Yes. But she didn't need Spider-Man. And Spider-Man don't need her. What they need is to write a respectable story. If they didn't have confidence in Captain Marvel going forward from here, that's not the fault of Spider-Man or the actors who played Spider-Man or the actress who played Captain Marvel. That's the fault of the writers who don't seem to have confidence to write a respectable character. Period. I don't think I'm being harsh by saying that. If you write a great character and this character grows and develops, and you have the chance to do it with the new movies that's coming out. Keep in mind, people didn't warm up to Black Widow right away. I did not know her purpose was in Iron Man 2, but Captain America and other films, I started to get the feel for this character and grow for this character. I wanted to have her own movie for P6, which took forever. And I'll go on and say she should have had her movie before Captain Marvel did. I'm not even going to go anywhere near how disappointed I was that Captain Marvel got her film. Not because of the actor or the film being released, but because the fact is you had a woman who bust her ass for this franchise and she still wasn't getting the film. I remember the dumbass excuses. So I'm very, very harsh on that situation. But she is here, and all you have to do, if the film didn't turn out right the first time, learn what got it wrong, and build from that. Now, I'm going to say that the social justice warriors are right? No. But do I also feel that the actress didn't help matters? Absolutely. She did not help her matters when it came to the situation. I think she have learned that, hey, maybe I should just focus on promoting the film than my own political agenda. It's not a good thing, especially with social media. It's just not. I think that Captain Marvel will be just fine. I think they just need a director, an actual writer, and I think they need to set the groundwork for it the same way. You don't need a Spider-Man, and I don't buy that Spider-Man was going to be the anchor to help get this girl through and humanize the girl. If what I've been reading is your idea of humanize the girl, I don't want nothing to do with it. It's probably best that Sony takes control of Spider-Man from here on out. Now, I don't think that was the reason why Sony did that. I'm not buying that was the main key. I think they have a very strong lineup. I think that's one of them. But I also feel that after seeing the low sales of the DVD sales, they realize that, hey, we need to get something going here. Many people are not buying into this character. We need to find out what's going on and make her more better. And I think that after she gets a couple of these films, and I think she's going to be involved in some of these films. I think it's almost impossible not to have her involved in some of these films. I think she's going to be involved in some of these films. I hope that she can be involved of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. That'd be great. But let her get seasoning. Let her get developed. You want to humanize this character? Let her go through the same phases as Black Widow have. Because that's how I fell in love with this character, which Scarlett Johansson had Black Widow. How I was saddened at how they actually gotten rid of her at the end of the film. Kind of was expected, but I was still sad. But this needs to happen. I think she was thrown in here, and many people couldn't connect. It's some of the same people, and for the record, it's not personal. I think this is the same feeling that many people have with Superman because he's so powerful, such a Boy Scout. He's not relatable to the point where even directors can't seem to get Superman right no matter how much they tried. I think the only person who came even remotely close was Richard Donner in the first Superman. I think this is something that I think the character that the directors and the storytellers need to really take their time with. Eventually, unless I'm mistaken about whether or not Robert Downey Jr. got another contract somewhere, I don't think he does. He's not coming back. I think they're gonna keep him dead, unless they're gonna go through what they was planning to go through with other universes with Doctor Strange. I think he's gone, but who knows? I think that I'm not buying that they're totally dumping the Captain Marvel character. I'm not buying it. I mean, it could be a while since we'll see another Captain Marvel series, but if that's the case, it's not a bad thing. I think that if they give her, as long as they put her in films, let her grow as a character, I think that will be a positive thing, not a negative. I think she was sprung in there a little bit too quick in a very hostile social media environment where you have a lot of people just basically barking at one another for stuff they shouldn't have to. Not to say that their criticism on the character or the actress is justified, but I do think it's been overblown. And I think that many people, I think it was proven that when how much the box office meant something, because they felt this was the end of the MCU, which was ridiculous. You're gonna say that the MCU was in trouble for one film, a film that really, in hindsight, is not even in the main roster. Come on now. That's my opinion on the matter. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. I'd like to hear what you have to say. BET just joined the frail of being a streaming service. They're going to introduce BET Plus. I'm only assuming it's going to be original content along with some of the stuff that they already have in terms of movies and everything else. Other than that, I don't know. This marks how many now streaming services going to be out there. And as I keep hearing these announcements, because NBC is going to have Peacock, I believe, very soon to compete with the likes of NBC. Who knows, is Fox going to have a streaming service soon? It wouldn't surprise me if they would. But now it brings the question of how many more streamings can we actually get? How much more can they actually put out in for people to have? We're getting there, guys. The age of television, as we know it, is coming to an end. My problem isn't with the streaming service. I'm going to show you right now, if they can give you original content that people will have and love, and people want to tune in and get the description, by all means, go for it. My problem is that how much is going to be too much? Because I seriously doubt that people are going to keep spending money for one streaming to another streaming service, and keep in mind they still got to pay for internet service. Something's got to give, folks. Something's got to give. If there are more and more of the streaming services come out, I pretty much think there's going to be a special service similar to what cable TV has gotten to get all these in a package. I don't see how this is going to continue to stand as being their own individual. It's just too much. DC has their streaming service. I believe it costs pretty much a lot of money to gain their streaming service. It's a lot of money. You have Hulu. I wouldn't say YouTube Premium, because right now YouTube Premium is pretty much all but dead. And I'll probably talk about that in the weekend edition, because I think after hearing that Cobra Kai is going to be given for free and without commercials and interruption. Originally it was commercials, but now it's talking about without pretty much commercial interruption. That pretty much tells me just how much they dropped the ball on something that could have been something good. But I'll leave that alone for now. I'm sparing it. But you have a lot of streaming services coming out. Disney Plus, of course, being one of them. And you gotta ask yourself, wouldn't this be easier to get for them to put all their stuff into one company and let these guys buy from there, having a special streaming service that covers all of it? I know people are saying what's the point of doing that? We ditched the cable for a reason. Well, because number one, if these shows can only be done in streaming, and you like that show, but you don't want to spend all this money on just one thing, it could become a problem. Where it's going to come a point where two things are going to happen. One, they're going to have a service where you can buy all in a bundle. Or two, out of all these streaming services coming out, some of them's going to collapse. Some of them will fold. Trust me, you better believe it, they're going to fold. Because it takes a lot of money for these subscriptions. The subscription alone ain't going to cut it. If they're only getting 6 million subscribers and it has tons of content, that 6 million subscribers alone is not going to help keep any updates television shows or streaming shows afloat. It's just not possible. That's one of the reasons why Netflix has been pretty much canceling things left and right. To be fair, they did this most of themselves because they kept on, saying, "Come on in, we got room for you." They hardly turned down any movies. They hardly turned down any shows. Now, some of these shows are good shows. Not to get me wrong. Some of them are not so good shows. But they all have one thing in common. It's not as much as who's watching. That does play a part. But how many sponsors are staying with them. The same rules apply. If there is no sponsors to sponsor the show, there is no show. Simple as that. So I don't know. I wish BET luck. But I don't know if they're going to have enough traction to gain for that. Plus, BET has a lot of channels. They got a lot of channels. They got like 5-6 channels. Just on cable network alone. So, who knows how that's going to go down. Who knows how that's going to go down. I'd like to know your opinion on that. Should there be a service where they can give all you these lovely shows in a bundle? Or are you fine just keeping them separate? I know some of you guys saying, what's the point of, giving me the cable then if they're going to do the same thing that they did with cable? Good point. I'm not going to argue that. What I'm saying is that I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years that a lot of these pop-up streaming services won't be around for long. Because a lot of them are stretching the suit now. Just stretching the suit. And our walls can only go so far. Funny thing about it is the cheapest and probably most best qualifying streaming service, at least to my knowledge, is WWE Network. Which used to be WWE Demand or WWE 24/7, where you see a lot of classics. They came a long way from being 24/7 to WWE Network. But there has been a lot of praises about it, and the fact you only get to pay a low fee, if you times it by 12, that's only $100 a year, which is not bad. Not bad at all. $45 you get to pay for the first half a year. Gotta say that's not a bad deal. For those people, that's good. And then you have Hulu, and then you have, of course, other networks. But so far, the thing I heard, the best streaming service, surprisingly, has been WWE. I have heard no complaints about their services. A lot of people love it. I think they did a pretty good job, honestly, with how they done things. You have all the classic matches, the NXT, although they're going to be moved to USA now. A little bit on the fence about that. I know why they're doing it with the AEW thing, but I still feel that it should still be a network exclusive. I think it should give more meat for their money. Unless they're going to do something different with the networking. I know 205 Live is gone now, I heard. I can't say I missed it because I have not watched a single episode of it. I know it was like a cruiserweight brand. Hopefully that the cruiserweights won't get lost in the shuffle. I know they're going to add an NXT thing, which I think is actually kind of good. Because I think that Triple H and company have done a very, very good job of building that situation up. I wish them the best of luck too. My criticism aside with some of the stuff that's happened isn't really because I hate the brand. I actually want them to do good, but the only thing I say is, and I think it's been confirmed by Triple H without really having saying it, it says It's not a developmental league. As much as Kenny Omega like to shoot that it is, they're not. And those fans are actual genuine fans who love that product. I would not want to fall asleep on NXT. And let's be honest, the last few years, NXT has been the place to go for quality wrestling. Not Raw, not SmackDown, but NXT. They're doing something right for those fans that have that much love and that much passion, and all that goes with the people who have been dedicated and working hard to put that wrestling organization on the map. And I salute them for that. That's a great job for that. And I think they helped build that network for what it is. And that's one of the reasons why I'm only concerned about that, because, like I said, they have plenty of content. Don't get me wrong with the network, but that NXT was their baby. That was their crowning jewel. It ran for an hour, but it's the best hours on television. Can't deny that. But only time will tell to see how they will perform against AEW. I'm looking forward for both wrestlers organizations to do well. AEW got me back into loving wrestling. Let's be real. They really have. I would never have paid attention to WWE ever again if it wasn't for the fact AEW and what they've been doing have reminded me of why I love wrestling to begin with. And the only reason why I left, because really, I got tired of stale stories. Same old damn thing. Give me something different. Freshen me up. I went to look at New Japan Wrestling. I may not understand any language, but you don't need to. The story is where it's supposed to be, in the ring. It's being told in the ring. I don't need a scripted dialogue promo to tell me that. If you give me a good match that sets up the tone, I will watch it. But all you're going to give me is promo that lasts 45 minutes and wrestling that only lasted 5 minutes. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. When your championship belt changed hands so many times I lost count, that's a problem. That's why I stopped watching WCW. Than that stupid Chucky promo they did a while back. But now, things are different. NXT got my curiosity. I'm actually curious what they're going to do. I've seen a couple of their matches. I am actually loving what I've seen. I'm very deeply impressed. I'm also impressed by the fact that AEW got me hooked into wrestling again. Now, there are some hiccups that they have made, some mistakes that was made. Some that's not in their control. Others, they need to start improving. I think the announcement is going to be one of them they need to improve. Kenny Omega needs to not to go overzealous and disrespect a whole locker room of talented wrestlers. You know, amateurs or not. Which I kind of funny to believe, because if you're going to call Sensei Nakamura and, Samoa Joe amateur developmental talents, even though they've been in the business longer than he has, if not some of them you actually wrestle in Japan, I find that very, very suspicious. But like I said, the war's on. And I'm there for it. I'm very much there for it. But you may not be a wrestling fan. You may be a wrestling fan. I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. I'd like to hear about all the stories you have to say about this podcast. Now, before I leave, and I know this has been a long podcast, but I have to bring this up. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for having this out late. Because for one reason, and one reason only, I was sick the last 4 days. My voice is better. Still groggy. But I want to apologize in advance. And I also want to let you know that next week I might not be on the air because there are some things I have to take care of. One is with my daughter. Got to prepare her for a very special day. And I want to make sure you guys know that. By the way, she says hello to all of you. And thank you, especially those at MaddoxExpression.com, for actually giving her the support. I do appreciate that and the feedback. She's very, very happy to see comments, especially from a video. I told her that, if there's one or two, just be happy about that. Don't think that nobody's watching. They are. But sometimes they choose not to interact on the comment section, and that's fine. But there was one person I want to also thank, and that is Les. The Man in the Piano. She actually had commented on it. I said go right ahead because she saw your pictures doing a blog that you have done. And you did mention one thing. I am thinking about it. My only reason why I wanted to do on Minds is I have much better control if she will comment with me than she probably would if I gave her her own channel. I can actually better monitor it. And that's fine by me. Sometimes I can take the day without doing a video if that will mean if she wants to talk about it, she wants to do another video, which we'll probably do together as a family thing because we did see this movie together, and give her our own opinion and as well as mine. But I want to be comfortable a little bit more before giving her her own spot at Matic Expression, and largely because she's 8. She's not 16, she's not 13, she's 8. And to me, I'm very, very strict on that. I know that some of you guys don't understand it, but trust me, when you come to social media, you have to be on top of that. You really do. You don't know who's actually commenting. Not to say anything negative against Matic Expression, but I still use YouTube. And anyone who see the comment section on YouTube knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that's the whole thing. But I do want to address that. I wanted to say thank you for you guys for being positive and giving her the appropriate feedback. She really do appreciate it. For all you guys out there, you know who you are. So my respect out to you. As for next week, it's gonna be a slowdown period again. I want to make that clear. I do have a review coming up. I might as well tell you right now what it is. The Crimes of Gyllenhaal, Fantastic Beasts. I am going to have that post out to you probably no later than Sunday. So that will be that, and I will have pretty much, I may do a flip-flop. Saturday will be pretty much the Entertainment Roundup weekend wrap-up, and Sunday will be the review. So it all depends on how I do things because I have a lot of busy things going on. So it's all a matter of me getting it to that post, but it will be up. It will be ready to go. But until then, guys, I want to thank you all again for your guys' support. Really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. For those, especially in Matic Expression, love you all. And until next time, J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.